Huge win Sunday for the San Francisco 49ers as they whooped up on the Philadelphia Eagles. As we look a little bit deeper into this game, some numbers with Brock Purdy, the short passing game. How historic were the 6 straight touchdown drives and Deebo's answering the call. All that and a lot more coming up on this edition of Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Eric_Crocker. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Big ups to all the everydayers. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Happy anniversary, Croc. Not to you and your lovely wife. I know you guys have done that already very recently. Happy Brock Purdy versary. December 4th, as we record this on Monday afternoon, this is the 1-year anniversary of Brock Purdy taking over for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo as quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers against the Miami Dolphins in the 2022 season. And what a year it has been. I want to get deeper into Purdy's stats this season and against the Philadelphia Eagles in week 13. But how about this one? This one's from Josh Dubow of the Associated Press. And 1 year ago today, Jimmy Garoppolo broke his foot, forcing 49ers to play 7th round rookie quarterback Brock Purdy. Since then, Purdy has a 114.2 passer rating. That's tops in the NFL. 39 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and a 9.1 yards per attempt. We could go deeper into tons of other stats as we have all season long, really, and including the playoffs. That is the 49ers 17-4 record now in that time that Brock Purdy took over. So unbelievable stuff that the 49ers have done since Brock Purdy took over at quarterback, and it was from jump, Croc. It was from day one. It was from before he even had his first start, filling in an emergency against the Miami Dolphins and led that team to victory. That was his win. He gets credit for that win. I know Jimmy started it, but that was his game, you know? Of course, there was the injury in the NFC Championship game. There was a 3-game hiccup earlier this year, but right now the 49ers are nearly undisputed when you look at everybody across the football media that's talking about week 13 and the 49ers. The 49ers are right now the best team in the NFL, and they are quarterbacked by Brock Purdy, who's been just unbelievable since he took over. So happy Brock Purdy-versary. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was the birth of Brock Purdy 1 year ago today for the 49ers.
Did you hear Rex Ryan talking about him today?
No, I did not. And I know you hold Rex Ryan in high regard as your former coach when you were in camp with the Jets about a decade ago. What did and he tells it straight too. I like Rex Ryan as well. So what did Rex Ryan have to say about Brock Purdy?
He said he doesn't know how this guy isn't MVP right now. So it should be the league MVP. And then he made an interesting comparison, one that you have made, and I feel like other people have made it as well. But when you start to hear these, coaches and talking heads and they kind of echo those sentiments, brother's not gonna like this, but he brought up Joe Montana. He said he reminds him a lot of Joe Montana. That's what it looked like to him. And I'd say right now, 49er fans are probably feeling that way as well. When I was on with Corbin doing Locked On, the crossover episode with Seahawks, Corbin and I, we kind of discussed this, and he was asking, how do you guys feel about him? I'm like, man, I mean, he's been excellent. He's doing everything that you could want him to do. And I said, a lot of fans are saying, he kind of feel like he's like the second coming of Joe Montana. And I'm like, I'm not willing to go that far, but the more he kind of puts these games together, it's like, and I don't want to say, he's the next Joe Montana. I didn't really watch Joe Montana play football, but you probably lean more towards, I think this is just who he's always going to be. A guy who makes the right decisions, makes the right throws, makes the right plays with his legs when he needs to, and might have a weird, sack here and there or whatever that he might try to do a little too much. But I like it because more times than not, the little too much has led to a touchdown, which it did multiple times yesterday.
I thought it was pretty telling that Kyle Shanahan put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands in the biggest game of the year against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they went to the short passing game. And it was a little funky early, but it was the short passing game that ended up winning the game for the 49ers. And a lot of guys making plays after the catch, obviously, but Brock Purdy weathered that early storm. It was a little bit weird to start, a little disjointed. They went 3 and out quickly twice, and they overcame that. And I loved seeing that from Brock Purdy. He didn't collapse. He didn't fold at all. And taking a look here at the
real quick, can I talk about the start of that game?
Yeah. What do you think about the play calling to start? Because look, you always hate the play calling when it doesn't work, and you love the play calling when it works.
I think that was a perfect example of that. A lot of fans really up in arms. Why aren't you handing the ball off to Christian McCaffrey? He's not touching the ball. Why are you throwing it? And I'm like, look, Brock Purdy has played exceptionally well. And if you can't go out there and throw the ball to set up the run and make Philly have to play things a little bit more honest, then Brock's not the guy you think he is. But clearly, Brock is who Kyle thinks he is. So he came out, and his first, 15 scripted plays included 3 straight throws to try to get things going. And it was clear that they were trying to hit the quick game. I noticed that, and ball got batted down. I thought he ran into a sack, but I haven't watched it back to see was anyone open. And then obviously the third down pass that ball got away from him. But I didn't mind what I felt Kyle was trying to do, and I think that's the part you got to start to understand. Like, what was Kyle trying to do? Hey man, let's get some a quick completion here, pick up 4 or 5 yards, and get things going. And play ahead of the sticks. Instead, it's incompletions. It didn't work out, but I'm like that he kind of stuck with that. And then the run game got going. And then, the rest is history of how the game played out. But there was definitely a lot of overreactions to his play calling early on, saying it was bad. I think the execution of it was poor.
The one thing I did not like about it, and look, it's hard for me. I don't geek out on play calling. And, I know a lot of folks are really good at it. And they're like, oh, this is this call. And like, they'll rattle off what the call is, for a certain play. Like, that's not me at all. Like I geek out on scouting and player development and roster building and that kind of stuff. I don't geek out on what plays are called and X's and O's and that, and I know enough, but I don't try to preach it either. And I'm not going to say that, I know what Kyle Shanahan should be calling any given time. And I think it was obviously the right idea to go to the short passing game in this one to try to negate the Eagles pass rush. But the one thing I didn't like about it early going was just like going empty, like not even have a running back in the backfield, right? Because it tells the defense, obviously, if we're watching TV, we know what's coming. The defense definitely knows what's coming, right? And so I think just not even having any threat of running the ball, not even have a running back in the backfield on some of those calls. I don't know if I loved that. And, now the defense is, you never want to be one-dimensional as an offense. And now the defense is like, cool, we know they're passing. So now we can get our hands up in the passing lanes and we don't have to worry about a running back. We don't have to worry about our assignment if a running back might be, if we need to contain Christian McCaffrey. So I didn't love that aspect of it. But, just because it didn't work in the first couple of drives, went quickly 3 and out, and the 49ers were like negative 6 yards or something on 2 drives. It was clearly the right game plan, and it started to work, and it started to work like crazy. And it was a waterfall, 6 straight touchdown drives, Croc, for the 49ers there until they started kneeling on it with Sam Darnold in at quarterback and take long drives. We're talking 90 yards, 85 yards, 75 yards, 80 yards. I was unbelievable. And the 6 consecutive touchdown drives for the 49ers is the most by a team since Baltimore Ravens did it 4 years ago against the Rams in 2019. So that's how long it's been since a team just rattle off, boom, 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 haymakers like the 49ers did against the Philadelphia Eagles. So that was amazing. That was fun to watch. Croc, how about this one? I got another stat here for you with Brock Purdy. This one from Nick Wagner. Since coming in, actually, hold on. I got 2, I think, from Nick Wagner. He covers the 49ers for ESPN. Brock Purdy has 4 games with at least 3 touchdown passes and a passer rating of 140 or higher this season. Sunday was one of those. That's tied with Tom Brady in 2007 and Aaron Rodgers in 2011 for the most such games by a quarterback in a season in NFL history. And we start talking about MVPs. Guess what those players in those seasons won? Tom Brady 2007, Aaron Rodgers 2011. Guess what award those guys won in those seasons?
League MVP?
I think so. Those guys were MVPs. So that, like, Brock Purdy is doing that right now. Be as much in disbelief as you want. Brock Purdy's having an MVP type season right now for the 49ers. It's the best team in the NFL. He's quarterbacking it, and he leads the league in tons of stats, including quarterback rating. I mean, that's what's happening right now. Whether you like it or not, Brock Purdy is playing at an MVP level and should be in consideration for the MVP of the league.
And he's right there in some of these other categories. You know, I got touchdowns up. He's fourth in the NFL in touchdown passes right now, only behind Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, and Tua. Completion percentage, he's right there at the top. Passer rating, let me look at passer rating. He's at the top. I mean, and it's not even kind of close. It's like 116 rating for him. The next person is Dak Prescott, who is 108. So, when you start talking about MVP, it's hard to get somebody playing better than Brock Purdy. I do think Dak is kind of creeping up in that conversation. I think he's playing exceptionally well.
I think they're 1 and 2. They're 1
And
and 2 right now in the voting. They have to be.
yeah, we talked a lot about what this game probably meant for Brock in the sense of kind of, putting him on that stage for MVP. Like, you got to go in there, enemy territory, like win that game. He did it. Dak Prescott has that same type of ability next week, although it's not in Philly. Is going to be in Dallas. But, if he has a big game on that big stage, I think people will really be talking about him as MVP as well. So those two guys, I think, is kind of a two-man race at this point in the season for league MVP. That's how it feels.
Yep, absolutely. And doing it on that stage when everyone's watching, and it wasn't a prime time game, but it's as close as you can get on a Sunday afternoon with the 49ers and Eagles this week. All right, more stats for Brock Purdy, what he's doing this year. I want to talk more about Deebo and what he did in that game on Sunday. And I got a little stat as well for Charvarius Ward, 49ers cornerback, and what he's doing for the 49ers defense as well. Next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. It should be a hassle to get tickets. You should be excited about going to the event, right? That's the point of going to an NFL football game. You're going to see the 49ers. Maybe you want to go see the Warriors in the city. Concerts, comedy, theater events near you. No matter what it is, Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all of those events. And killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee. Gametime takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets. One of my favorite things with Gametime, and it's my least favorite thing with buying tickets to any big event, is those hidden fees that hit you right when you're about to check out. All in prices, so you know your total upfront with Gametime, and you know exactly what you're getting. You know you're getting that great deal. And speaking of great deals, there are zone deals. You pick a section, Gametime picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. Last minute deals, even up to the start and even an hour after an event starts. It's the place to find last minute seats. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Hey, Peacock, I do want to bring up one more stat with Brock Purdy. That's very interesting to me. I just went to quarterback passing attempts, and he is 23rd in the league in passing attempts, but 7th in yards.
The efficiency is insane, Croc.
Yeah, not ridiculous. So when you see kind of something like that, like obviously there's a lot of big plays. I mean, he's a big part of that. Obviously, I think, before with Jimmy, you could attribute a lot of it to run after catch. I think some people would do that yesterday with Brock Purdy, but he's thrown the ball downfield. He's been better than anybody in that 10 to 20 yard range. There's a lot of good stuff, but I thought that was interesting that he's so low in passing attempts. Over 100. Sam Howell has like 160 more attempts than Brock, but Brock's efficiency is just off the charts.
It's unbelievable. Like, you can't read, react, find the right guy, throw an accurate pass with anticipation better than what Brock Purdy's doing right now. And it's such a great fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense. And obviously Purdy is being helped because he's coached by Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan is his play caller. He's helped because he's got guys like Deebo that can take it 70 yards to the house. He's helped with a good running game with Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. You're helped with Kittle and IU. And obviously those are helpful things, and it helps him play up, and he's helping them play up, and it all works together. But what he's doing right now, and a little behind the scenes, and I was having fun with your brothers, and your real brother and your bro brother, Donald, and I was kind of giving them some stuff because they're like, Purdy, maybe he's not that good. All these other guys are helping him out, and it's like he's getting help, but he is awesome. He's doing the thing you have to do, distributing the football. Anticipation, knows where to go with the football, because it doesn't help if you are Jalen Hurts and you're in the pocket and you can't find a place to go with the football, right? Where the 49ers locking A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith up that hard that when Jalen Hurts, who is considered an MVP candidate, is standing in the pocket for 15 minutes and he can't find a guy open, he can't find a place to go with the ball, Brock Purdy's throwing it before guys are getting out of their breaks. Like, Brock Purdy's getting help, but Brock Purdy is doing unbelievable things and creating as a quarterback. And I think a lot of people don't want to give him the credit for being just an unbelievable distributor of the football, because he does have a lot of help, which is fair. He is getting a ton of help, but he's doing a lot himself as well. Just look at how the offense has been before Brock Purdy and after Brock Purdy. That's all you got to say, right? Same offense, same players.
You just mentioned a little bit of the pass rush or lack thereof. Very interesting. It did feel like Jalen Hurts had a lot of time back there. But if you look at the pass rush stats, the 49ers had a ton of pressures. I'm like, man, it didn't quite feel like that watching the game.
It's just fun to watch. I love the 49ers offense right now, the way everybody's contributing, everybody's helping everybody, blocking downfield. Deebo's not making these huge run after catches. He's doing a lot himself, right? But you see George Kittle blocking down the field. You see Ronnie Bell blocking down the field. Ayuk blocking down the field. Juwan Jennings blocking down the field. I mean, it's so fun to watch. It's 11 guys, and Brock Purdy's doing an amazing job. How about this? Here's one more stat from Brock Purdy. So Brock Purdy, since and this was from Nick Wagner, again from ESPN, because of the short passing game and how well that worked on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. These are Brock Purdy's completions and the NFL rank in various air yard distance for Purdy this year. So 10 plus air yards, Purdy has completed 73 of those. That's the fifth most. 15 plus, he's completed 45, which is fourth most. The 20 plus air yard throws, he has 21 this year, which is tied for fifth. 30 plus air yard throws, he only has 5. That's tied for 10th. But Purdy has the best completion percentage in the NFL on throws of 10 plus yards, 15 plus yards, and 20 plus air yards, and is tied for 8th on throws of 30 plus air yards down the field. So while he doesn't have a huge arm and he's not making these crazy throws down the field, he's really accurate when he is throwing the ball down the field and obviously giving his guys a chance to make those plays. So it's the accuracy and anticipation. That's where Brock Purdy's special. He's not going to walk in the room and wow you. He's not going to wow you because of some of the things that some other quarterbacks can do in the NFL. And I think that's another reason why he's not getting credit, plus his draft status, right? But anticipation, knowing where to go with the football, is so important. It's a superpower. Peyton Manning's in the Hall of Fame right now because he was able to do that. Drew Brees, right? That's the style of quarterback we're talking about. You don't have to put Drew Brees or Joe Montana or Peyton Manning on Brock Purdy, but that's the style of play he's playing with. And statistically, he's doing those things at that level that those guys did them. And that's what's special. And you got to recognize it with Brock Purdy.
I'm glad that you brought up Peyton Manning, because I remember like late in his career, right? I mean, he couldn't throw a ball very far, couldn't throw a deep out. He was getting picked off left and right. But one thing you did see with him on when it was connecting, he knew he couldn't throw the ball that far. So he just let it go sooner and it would just float right into the guy's hands on the money. So let's say he his arm was maxed out at like 45 yards or something. Maybe he could throw a little further than that, but he clearly he lost a lot of arm strength. Brock has more arm strength than that. I'm not saying he can only throw 45 yards, but he would just let the ball go sooner, and Demaryius Thomas would just run right underneath it. Boom. And it was just timing, precision, accurate, perfect throw, like anticipation, like all of those things to hit a guy in stride down the field. And I think that's what Brock is doing to all levels of the field, like just kind of understanding who he is, has to let it go a little bit sooner. Offensive line definitely doesn't help with that part, right? Like, he does have guys kind of in his face at times, and he's doing a good job with that. So maybe he just has to throw it a little bit sooner. But he is very accurate to all levels of the field while being able to be that anticipatory thrower.
No doubt. Next, more on Deebo. His biggest answer, which was not with his mouth, it was with his play on the field Sunday. And one play specifically that when you go back and watch this game was just massive for the 49ers. I want to talk a little bit about Charvarius Ward as well, and one telling stat for him next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by Jase Medical and the Jase case. And I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities in real life, but can we talk just for a minute about preparing for real life and being prepared for your family and yourself in case of an emergency? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running low on antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of flu season, right? And it could be one of the worst flu seasons. So that could be scary for some folks. And I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if you are looking after your family and one of your kids is sick. Being a dad has really changed my outlook on life. And there's supply chain issues that keeps you from having some, potentially life-saving medication that you might need. Thankfully, everyone will be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinuses, skin infections, tons of other stuff. This stuff could happen to any of us, and maybe you are just someone who's traveling, and maybe you might be somewhere where you're not going to have access to emergency medication, and you have specific needs for your family in any of those cases. Visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today, so go to jasemedical.com and use our promo code offer Locked On to get $20 off your order. Again, that is jasemedical.com, code Locked On to get $20 off your order. So, Dre Greenlaw does the belly-to-belly suplex on Devontae Smith right on the sideline of the Philadelphia Eagles. I didn't have a big problem with it. Look, this football, he tackled him, right? Oh, he tackled him hard. Boo-hoo. Come on, talking about boo-hoos, right? There was a lot of talk about boo-hoos this week from the guys in green, and they're boo-hooing about a tackle, so flag, whatever. But he's right on the sideline, and then Big Dom, don't remember what his last name is. Big Dom sticks his fat head right in the whole thing and puts his hands on Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw doesn't like it, obviously, and it ends up getting Dre Greenlaw kicked out of the game. And Big Dom gets kicked out as well. But one thing that did was really get the crowd riled up. And the Philadelphia Eagles obviously had the ball, and they finished off that drive with the tush push ×2, got into the end zone for a touchdown. That was a 1-score game at that point, Croc. And what happened? Deebo shut up the entire building for the second time in the day, because when the 49ers scored to end the first half, came back, Deebo had the touchdown to begin the second half, that place was quiet. And that incident that happened on the sideline was the only type of thing that could really wake it all up. And you felt like, oh man, all this momentum the 49ers had, did that just get ruined because of Dre Greenlaw and this incident on the sideline? Because the crowd was all of a sudden back into it. All of a sudden, the tush push happens and the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. And all of a sudden, oh no, it's signature comeback win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Everyone's in. And Deebo says, heck no, not on my watch. That's not happening. And just houses it. And that was so massive. That was the moment in the game that was special, because not only were they able to come back from a weird start in the first quarter of the game, they take a lead, but then they're able just to slam the door right when the Philadelphia Eagles might have thought they had a little bit of hope to come back and win that football game. And Deebo said, that ain't happening. That was phenomenal. So one more big shout out. We talked about Deebo yesterday, but I just wanted to make sure we got that out there one more time, especially that one play. And look, he scored 3 times. So there's a lot of reasons to praise what Deebo Samuel did on the field and backing up his talk for the last few months. That one play specifically, that was special. Getting blocks down the field, as I mentioned before. Props to Deebo Samuel. He's a dude.
I think it was personal. Really, for a lot of guys, you saw the 49er players show up in the all black, but he came on the field with the Air Force Ones, the black Air Force Ones. I think everybody understands what that means. Black Air Force One energy is just a little different, right? That means you're on demon time, and he definitely was on demon time in that game. And to shut up the entire stadium and really kind of shut up their fans too, because remember, this is the guy that came out and said Bradbury's trash. Like, we were going to expose all of that. And then he went out there and just displayed a level of dominance on the highest level, scoring 3 touchdowns, really in a, blowout fashion. Like, he was a big part of that. Run after catch was crazy. So shout out to Deebo Samuel. He's one of my favorite players, really one of my favorite all-time 49ers, just the way that he plays, the way he carries himself. It was really cool to see him get back to not just Philly, but like their fan base as well.
Hey, man, we'll catch you on Sunday.
Yeah.
I love that he didn't take back when he was given the opportunity to take back what he said about Bradbury. He's like, no, I said what I said. And then he backed it up on the field. And it wasn't Slay. I don't remember hearing Slay and Bradbury's names all day. Like, it wasn't an outside passing game day. And I think the back seven, the middle of the field just got torched. Linebackers, safeties, nobody could tackle. They were in the blender. So going back to our earlier topic about Kyle Shanahan's game plan, it was the right game plan. Like, they won in the coaching department. There was that clip on the sideline showing Desai, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles, and he's got this look on his face like, I don't know what to do right now. That was right after by the way, did I mention this yet? The best play call of the entire game was, and I don't know if it was an option route. I don't think it was, because Purdy put it up too early. He knew it was going to be a double move. The 3rd and 2. This is a gutsy call from Kyle Shanahan. This wasn't conservative Kyle. The 3rd and 2, and Christian McCaffrey is a little short motion, and then has, it's like 3rd and 2. Of course, he's going to run the out, and Purdy's going to hit him, and they're going to get a first down and go out. Nope, boop, up, and little rainbow from Brock Purdy over the top. That destroyed the Eagles. That was a fantastic play call. Kudos to Kyle on that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, no, that was good. Great job by Christian McCaffrey tracking that in. Brock made that one super easy for him. I get crushed a little bit on social media because I was a little upset at the touchdown catch by Brandon Ayuk. And we're talking about in the moment, right? Like, in the moment, he catches it, okay, touchdown, and then they review it, and I'm like, come on, he's wide open. They're like, well, it's a highly difficult throw. He has this guy, and I'm looking at him like, well, this guy's like 7 yards away from him. All you got to do is just float it over the top so that it doesn't have to be as difficult of a catch to where it potentially is overturned, because I thought it might get overturned. And the play stood, and I kind of let it go from there. But that was kind of like, that was difficult. Like, you made it difficult. I felt like then it had to be. I'm not complaining about it. Like, the result was a touchdown, but in the moment, I'm like, come on, man. Like, there's nobody around him. Like, there's nobody within. Just put it out there. It was kind of like that other one. I talked about the Seahawks, and people kind of got on me for saying, hey, man, you got to put that out there a little bit. A lot of great throws from Brock.
Yeah,
I think pointing out something in the moment that you felt like it could have been a better throw based on the circumstances and the players around the receiver or lack thereof. I don't think that should be, people should scrutinize somebody for in the moment saying something like that.
Yeah, like, don't make them have to dive for it. You can make it a lot easier. And at the time, that was when the 49ers had struggled for 2 drives and finally put a drive together, right? And an errant throw like that on a wide open guy in the end zone, instead of being a touchdown, that could be a field goal. Now you're talking about 6-3 instead of, it could change a lot. And so the 49ers obviously got on track. We're really rolling. And then Brock was pinpoint. And I think he was over 4 to start, and then maybe had 3 or 4 incompletions the rest of the game. But yeah, he was off. That's what I loved about Brock Purdy and the whole 49ers team, is they didn't fold. They were off early. Offensive line was getting beat early. Offensive line started winning those battles. Defense started getting tired because they were out there for so long on those 6 straight touchdown drives. And Brock Purdy figured it out and tightened it up. And so it's never going to be perfect for 60 minutes, right? And so you got to overcome those things. And they did. And then they overcome it in a big way. Overcame it, I believe is the word. So we are one more note here. I want to bring up, this is on Charvarius Ward. He now leads the entire NFL, Croc, with 18 passes defensed. And I also want to bring up one more name, Kalia Davis. Kalia Davis got in there and got his first career sack. So congrats to the young man. It's been a long couple of years for Kalia Davis. He's hurt coming out of college and hasn't had an opportunity to get any traction. Niners were a little bit banged up on the interior, and Kalia Davis was able to suit up in this one, and he got himself a sack. A nice penetration there by Kalia Davis. So congrats to him as well.
You talked about Charvarius Ward and the game that he had. I know on the opening drive, it started to look a little shaky. He gave up that slant, big catch and run for A.J. Brown. In my opinion, it was a clear push off, but I know they don't call offensive PI. But
can we talk about that just real quick? Because I loved that they, for the most part, like unless they were forced to throw a flag, they didn't throw a lot of flags in that game, and I love it. Please, every crew do that, please.
Well, I feel like AJ was like, I'm going to see how are they going to call this game. So he just like shoved Charvarius Ward back and, created the space and caught the ball, whatever. But came back later, and I thought Charvarius Ward did a terrific job several times, like down the field, red zone. He did a great job of what I call playing chest to chest, looking through the receiver. So in the red zone, you don't want to turn your back to the receiver, because then they can kind of give you that little, what they call chicken wing, and create space to fade away from the ball. Or if the quarterback throws the back shoulder throw, it'll receiver open and away from the DB. But if you play chest to chest, then now that eliminates, he can't chicken wing you. He also cannot, you can't throw that back shoulder, and you get to him. They're not going to call PI because you have your hands on, but you're looking back for the ball. And then he did a really good job of playing the ball. Now, you talked about him leading the league in pass breakups. I think sometimes he has opportunities to get interceptions in those moments, but I'll take the PBU. I'll take it. But I think especially that end zone one, it looked like he could have potentially picked it off. I think he did that with DK Metcalf down the field as well, where there was a ball he just like slapped away, like volleyball spiked it. I'm like, I think you can go up and attack that ball right there. So I would like to see a little bit better ball skills, but hey, man, if the result is the ball hitting the ground as opposed to a receiver catching it, I'm all for it.
Croc's rewatch scouting report on the rookie Jair Brown tomorrow, and I got some questions about Ambry Thomas too, and some plays that maybe in the past might have gotten flags. They weren't really in this one, and not really even trying to turn his head on some of those plays. And so I want to ask you about some of the nuances in some DBs on the rewatch there. And of course, it's Winky Wednesday. It's time to talk to the Winkstradamus, who now has his first loss from his preseason predictions, and everybody, including Wink, is happy about that. That is coming up on tomorrow's edition of Locked On 49ers. Make sure you're subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Croc and I back tomorrow. Locked On 49ers.